Final Fantasy VII Revelation will let players shape parts of the story, but not the ending. Following last week's reveal of Final Fantasy VII Revelation, the highly anticipated conclusion to the remake trilogy, fans have been eager to learn how the story will wrap up after the dramatic events of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. While Square Enix is still keeping many plot details under wraps, the development team has confirmed that players will have some influence over the journey, just not the destination. In a recent interview with Games Radar, director Naoki Hamaguchi explained that Revelation will feature player-driven choices that affect certain story moments and character interactions throughout the game. As our party heads into the final battle, the game is going to show the resolve that they carry within them, Hamaguchi said. Cloud and his companions are beloved by fans all over the world, and we didn't want to deliver exactly the same experience to every player. We wanted each fan to have a unique experience as they move toward the final battle. According to Hamaguchi, these choices are designed to personalize the adventure and the emotional journey leading into the game's climax. However, despite those variations, the overall conclusion will remain the same for everyone. There won't be multiple endings that change depending on the player's choices, he explained. The ending of the story is going to be a singular ending. That doesn't mean choices are meaningless, though. Kinda does, in my opinion. While players will ultimately reach the same conclusion, the path they take there to get there may differ. Character interactions, story developments, and personal moments could play out differently based on decisions made throughout the game. The process of how we get to that ending might be different between players, Hamaguchi said. As a result, some players may have a different emotional experience when they reach the ending compared to someone who made different choices. The approach appears to be a compromise between offering player agency and maintaining a definitive conclusion to one of gaming's most iconic stories. The remake trilogy has already generated plenty of debate among longtime fans due to its changes and additions to the original Final Fantasy VII narrative. Because of that, Revelation was always likely to spark strong opinions, regardless of how much control players were given over the outcome. For now, Square Enix seems committed to telling a single unified ending while allowing players to shape the emotional context surrounding it. Whether that approach satisfies fans remains to be seen, but it's clear that the final chapter aims to make each player's journey feel a little more personal, even if everyone ultimately arrives at the same destination. Really? The same ending, regardless which path you took to get there? You couldn't at least have just had at least one alternate ending? Uh, I mean, it. I mean, if you're gonna get to the same ending regardless, what's that kind of takes away some of the emotional response that they brought up in the article. Because if you, because I mean, look at games like Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original for PlayStation. Regardless what choices you made, there was one choice which determined which ending you got. But at least that game had two endings. Um, I'm surprised that they couldn't just have at least had a second ending if you, depending on the choices you made. But no, everyone's gonna get the same ending regardless of the choices you made. How is that not making choices meaningless? Okay, so I mean, it's the ending that most people are gonna remember. So, but that's gonna be the same for everyone, regardless what choices you make. Kind of sounds like a big deal when you ask me. Um, but people who are going to be playing this, the Final Fantasy VII remake, the third part, what do you think? Do you think uh, alternate choices, but always leading to the same ending, regardless which ones, is that gonna is that gonna make choices seem meaningless, or do you remember the middle parts of the journey rather than the end? I usually remember the end. You know, it's the game endings that I remember. Very few parts of the middle, unless it was like um, a dramatic scene or whatever. It's always the ending that sticks out first and foremost. So I think they should have had at least one alternate ending. But let me know what you think in the comments section below, and let me know if you still are going to be playing when it comes out. Revelation.